what's sort of the least amount of food I can eat, maintain muscle mass or build muscle mass, have all the energy I want, never get sick, and most importantly, not be at the effect of hunger, ever, really.
So Mark, we're here with another wonderful day of filming. Brian and I have had a chance to spend a lot of time with you, have some meals, share the food that we cooked up for the videos. Right. But one insight comes to me, I've known you for a long time. This guy does not eat a lot of food. Right. You eat a minimal amount of super well-chosen, highly nutritious food, which may be one of the secrets I just gave away. But let's talk about this concept that you like to call the closed loop system of Mark Sisson.
Well, first of all, you say I don't eat a lot of food. I think I eat a fair amount of food. I certainly eat well enough to enjoy every bite I eat. I eat well enough to be satisfied at the end of every meal, sometimes almost to the point of discomfort. But how that's worked its way back from the old days when I was an athlete, chowing down 5,000 calories a day, now getting into that 1,700 to 2,200 calorie a day range, it's because of this concept of metabolic flexibility. I've developed what I like to think of as a closed loop system. So if you break down what I had today. So I had a cup of coffee with some cream. So maybe that had, 50 calories total. I don't know. Maybe it had 100 because maybe I put extra cream in it. Let's call it 100 calories. All fat calories. Then I had a piece of salmon for lunch on a bed of lettuce with some Primal Kitchen salad dressing on it. I think we figured that generously that was a 500 calorie meal, right? So now we're at 600 calories for the day. And then I would typically have like a 12-ounce ribeye steak for dinner with some, either some broccoli. In this case today we had asparagus. And I put some Primal Kitchen steak sauce on it. And then maybe I'll have, a glass of wine or two with that. So you got the 600 calories in the beginning of the day, again, 100 for breakfast, 500 for lunch. Maybe it's 900 for dinner. We're at 1,500 calories and maybe 2 glasses. I'm at literally 1,700 calories.
With the popcorn at night?
For the day.
Netflix popcorn?
No popcorn, no snacking. And I'm satisfied, I'm hungry, I don't feel like eating more. If I do, it's going to be a couple of pieces of chocolate or something like that. So that's the day where I've had 1,700 calories. And I've worked out in the morning, worked out fasted, did a hard workout. Maybe on another day I might have 2,300, 2,400 calories, but it's not a lot of food in the context of someone as active as I am, someone who's got, I'm 68, I've still got a fair amount of muscle mass that I have to maintain. So how can I do that, you ask? Like, how is that happening? And I've thought about this over the years, like people who can say, look, I eat 3,500 calories a day, 4,000 calories a day, I don't gain weight, I can get away with it. I'm like, well, yeah, you can get away with it, but there's a lot of things going on there. Probably if you're like most Americans, you have some digestive issues. So a lot of the things you eat, you aren't really absorbing. Your digestive tract is malfunctioning. So you're pooping out some of the stuff that you would have otherwise digested. Maybe you're feeding a microbiome with some of the calories that you've consumed that is not serving you well. In other words, there are probably some species of bacteria, some strains of bacteria in your gut that probably ought not to be there that are now thriving on that excess food. Maybe you are sleeping hot. Maybe when you go to bed at night, you're running a temperature because your body is trying to get rid of the excess calories that you took in that day. And ultimately, maybe you're somebody who is maybe putting on a little bit of fat every month. You just don't notice it from day to day because you're over consuming the amount of energy that you really need to function. So that's part one of this, is that I used to think, how much food can I eat? How much can I get away with and not gain weight and not feel bloated and not feel uncomfortable? What can I get away with? How much can I eat? What's the big number? Versus what's sort of the least amount of food I can eat, maintain muscle mass or build muscle mass, have all the energy I want, never get sick, have a robust immune system, and most importantly, not be at the effect of hunger, ever, really. And there's a big swing between that minimal amount of food and that maximum amount of food. And so in between, you would say, well, where are all those macronutrients going for the average person? Like, what's happening to those calories? Well, when you work your way back and you say, if really all I really need for maintaining my mass is 50 or 60 grams of protein a day. In other words, protein shouldn't even have a caloric number assigned to it if it's largely going to be used for growth and repair and the building of enzymes and the building of bones, and not to be combusted. Like, you don't want to burn protein. You can, but it's not like you're supposed to or you need to or you have to. So that's point number one. It would be what's my requirement for protein? It's not that much. Then you go, okay, well, what's my requirement for carbohydrate? And as we've said many times in the past, there is no daily requirement for carbohydrate in the human diet. In other words, you could live your entire life without eating carbohydrates, and you could do just fine. So the fact that we introduce so many carbohydrates into our diet as Americans, as humans now, the fact that that such a large portion of our calories come in the form of carbohydrates means that we're generating this glucose load in our body. We're secreting insulin as a result of the overload of glucose. Some of this is going to sequestering the excess glucose in the muscle cells as glycogen. Some of it's making sure that it gets converted into triglycerides so that it gets stored as fat. Not a good thing. So there's a range of carbohydrate that we don't even need that many of us are consuming in our diet. So in my case, I'm eating protein. I'm eating healthy fats, and not a lot of healthy fats. I mean, it's the saturated fat in the steak that I ate today, the avocado oil that was in the dressings and the teriyaki and the sauce that I ate, the sliced avocado I had on the salad. That was it for the fat. So I'm eating kind of fat and protein, and then the rest, the carbs, are in the form of leafy green vegetables and asparagus. Again, you might ask yourself, well, is that enough to live on? And for long periods of time, it is. Because when you cut the carbs way down, when you encourage your body to go into this state of metabolic flexibility, where it can extract energy from the carbohydrates on your plate of food, the glycogen in your muscles, the glucose in your bloodstream, the amino acids, if you want to combust those that were going to become protein, the ketones that your liver makes from the fats, and the fats on your plate of food, or the fat ultimately stored on your body. There's all these sources of energy that we have available to us when we're metabolically flexible. But the key one is stored body fat. If we can access stored body fat on a regular basis, then we can make ketones for the brain, and we can have enough energy, more than enough energy, to fuel the muscles up to 95% of their requirements on a daily basis. So it literally becomes this closed loop where you have the fat stored on you, so you don't need to eat it. You don't need carbohydrates. We've established that. And of the protein that you're eating, now because you're upregulating these protein-sparing systems within the body because of your metabolic flexibility, the body has a tendency to recirculate, reuse, and recycle these amino acids that otherwise, in the normal standard American diet, you would be peeing out because they were excessive. So it's a little bit like a closed loop for a longer period of time. What does that mean? Well, that means that I can go days at a time eating 1,700 to 1,800, 2,200 calories a day, and then once in a while I'll have a big feast. Not that I plan a cheat day, but simply that, I'm invited to somebody's place for the weekend, and there's a big spread for lunch, and then there's a nap in the afternoon, and then there's a giant spread for dinner, and all of a sudden, whoa, I had 4,200 calories today. But does that mean I automatically gain a half a pound of fat? Absolutely not. I'm metabolically flexible. So over the next, couple of days, that all of that caloric intake is going to dissipate in the form of increased thermal regulation, the thermic effect of food. Yes, some of it might get stored as glycogen because I typically try to run my glycogen down every day, and the excess might get stored as fat. But now we're talking about a few hundred calories as fat, which we all know I'm going to burn off the next time I go back to my regular strategy of 2 meals a day.